Hi everyone, it's Antonette Montalvo here for another episode of Montalvo International. We have a really special episode today, one that will maybe be a little bit challenging for some of you, but just really important. It's a continuation of our segment of Women In. This one particularly is just women in life struggles, you could say. So I have some very special guests that we'll get a chance to chat with in a little bit, but I'm glad you guys are here today. So stay tuned and you'll get a chance to hear something really special and really important. Thanks for coming. Hi everyone, so glad that you're able to make it. Once again, we're with Montalvo International, and this is another episode of Women In. And this one particularly is very special, just to myself, particularly just because we're talking about some things that are very sensitive, very important, but that may have impacted a lot of you as women, as individuals, whether women or not, but something that we really wanted to touch on that I think would be very powerful for all of you. So I just want to introduce my two guests that I have here today. We have Miss Rose here, as well as my sister-in-law, actually, Emily. And they have agreed to do just a really beautiful special segment with us. So I really hope that you are impacted by it. But just to kind of give you a chance to get to know them a little bit, maybe, Emily, maybe you can give a little background of who you are. Tell us who you are.
All right. Hi, my name is Emily Davis. What I do for work, I work for a nonprofit that helps low-income families obtain housing stability through education, financial assistance, and more. So
thanks. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Rose Guillaume. I work at Christ Community Church. I am an aspiring fashion designer and a praise dancer.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both again so much for being willing to be here, because I know just the topic that we're going to talk about is a little bit sensitive, but I think, again, very important, because there are many women who need to hear this. So I appreciate you even just giving your time and a piece of your story so that others can be impacted. So just to set everyone up a little bit, we are going to be talking through that very sensitive subject of loss and grief. And there may be a lot of you that have experienced it in different capacities, whether it be someone that you're very close to, a loved one, a spouse, even right down to just someone that you may not have gotten a chance to spend a lot of time with, but that it really impacted you, a coworker, a friend, a grandparent, maybe even a child. And so the one that we're going to focus on a little bit more today is just the struggle of loss when it applies to pregnancy and miscarriage. My two friends here, my sister and my friend, they both have and are in the process of just processing grief and loss as it applies to miscarriage and loss of a child. And again, I know this is a sensitive subject for many of you, but one that I know we hope that will bring some level of healing, and even just for you to find a chance to reflect and think about where God wants you to go from here. So whether it be loss in any other situation, we know this will also impact you, but we really just wanted to hone in on this topic. So I guess just to bring it back a little bit more general, Rose, for yourself, how do you think you process loss in general, or grief? How have you found yourself to get through it? Not necessarily speaking about the topic, but just in general, how have you felt that you've grieved loss before?
Well, through my experience with grief, I had to trust God going through the dark time, because as Christians, we have faith, we are strong people, but also there's the flesh part of ourselves as well. So I had to really trust God through all the dark time. Just to go a little back from what I've experienced, I was pregnant and I had to deliver at 6 months. And so the baby was really small. So her chance to live was very, very low. But I trusted God and I prayed. I had amazing friends that prayed with me and trusted with me. But when she turned 6 months, she was very small still. She was born 1 pound, 2.9 ounces. But she grew to be 12 pounds. Wow. And she was a beautiful little child. And for 6 months, I built a very strong bond with her. And that was my life for 6 months, from church to work, and then the hospital. She was at the NICU, the Children's Hospital, for 6 months. I have to say the nurses are amazing and doctors are very amazing. I was blessed to have this time there. So she died. It was very hard for me to go through that. And how I dealt with the grief, well, that was something different because I was alone. My husband was actually in Haiti. He wasn't able to even meet Elohima because we were waiting for his visa, and it took a long time. So when she died, I had to go through the whole thing alone. But yes, I did have friends that came and prayed with me and believed with me. But after the whole funeral was done, everybody had to go to their normal lifestyle. So I was finding myself at home, pushing through the darkness because it was really dark. And, God says in His Word that we should not grieve like the world do. Like they have no hope. We have hope that we will see our loved ones again. But it was really tough. It was really hard. So I had to trust the Lord throughout this process. I had to push myself through the darkness and hold on to the faith that I have in Him, because I know what it feels to experience His presence and His light. So at that time, the darkness was so thick that I said I couldn't go through it anymore. I had to come out. So I had to trust in the Holy Spirit. I had to trust God to help me through it. So that's one way I had dealt with the grief,
right.
With my faith and the help from the Holy Spirit, which is He's such a great and awesome help in our lives when we go through things like that.
And I can imagine, especially for some people who may not have any faith background, that this could be very difficult and challenging to think about. There are many that, and you kind of told me off camera before that even in all of your faith, it still felt very, very hard. And I can imagine that for some of you out there that may still be questioning your faith, may not know God or any other type of higher power that would help you, it can get very rough. And so grief hits everyone in different ways. It hits everyone and it touches a very sensitive place. And it's just, I commend you for even feeling like you could figure out how to connect with God through all of that. Because whether you believe or not, you need something to hold on to. And I mean, just even you being able to talk about it today is a big show of some type of feeling that's happened for you before. So I appreciate you even kind of talking a little bit about that. And I guess kind of going to you, Emily, your story is a little bit different, but still also very impactful. And I guess just backtracking, just so that just our community can kind of know, how have you dealt with grief before, and then how did you deal with this one? This was very different, and maybe just telling a little bit of a background of your story.
So I think I've experienced two different types of big grief. One being my grandparents. I think they were the closest people that I had that have passed, and that was a little bit different and easier in a sense. One, they're older folks, you get kind of to a point that this is going to happen, and they were sick for a long time. So you had your chance to kind of say your goodbyes, to kind of make peace with it. Still, you always believing in God for a miracle, but also believing God, if this is a time, I'm okay with this. And also taking time to, I think, especially with my grandma, because she was in the U.S. at the time, is that week that she was passing, I was able to spend that week with her. And I knew in my heart she was passing, family members, we still had our hope, and a lot of people had a little bit more in the sense that she's going to come out of this, but I just had this feeling in my heart that it was, prepare yourself. It's going to happen. So all my mentality and my efforts was to enjoy the little time I had, because I knew it was going to happen at some point. And so it was a little bit easier. It was hard. It was emotional, but it was easier for that period of time because you had some time to prepare. You had time to enjoy with this person.
Right.
Now, where it comes to the other grief is a loss of a child, and although it's slightly similar whenever it comes to a child being lost, it's a different experience.
Right.
And so earlier this year, my husband Ryan and I found out that we were pregnant with our first child. So of course, excitement, a lot of just joy and, telling family and close friends and, those preparations that you come in your head of, what are things that you have to do. One being moving into a different apartment, having a 2-bedroom apartment. So, time came, was passing and we were at that point where we were really close to tell our friends and family, just kind of put it out there. You kind of normally wait a couple months, and we were actually a week out to tell. And so a little bit before that, it was week 10 of pregnancy. This was the week before Valentine's Day. So I remember going to the train. I'm going home, and I'm walking to the train. So every morning, just mind you, as soon as we found out we were pregnant, every morning we would pray for our pregnancy. We had this prayer that we both would read, and we would just pray and declare pregnancy, health, and so many things. But this particular week, right before things happened, right before Valentine's Day, I had this feeling. I was walking, my faith is high, but I had this feeling that said to me, don't get attached to the baby. So of course the natural thing as a Christian is, start rebuking, start casting that out. God, I have faith in you, just kind of suppressing those feelings. But I still had that, mind you. Although it was a strange feeling. It was a peaceful, it was a peaceful voice. It was a peaceful environment. Yet my faith was still high. So ignored that. Didn't tell anybody. I was still doing the prayers. I was still doing my thing. I didn't even tell Ryan at the time. So the weekend before that Valentine's Day came in, and that's the week that we're moving. So we moved to our apartment. We have the 2nd bedroom, and we're so excited. That Monday after, I was a little exhausted from what I thought was the move. So I called out from work. I was like, told them, because of the move, my back was hurting. I wasn't feeling that good. Later that day, a light bleeding starts happening. So a little concerned, but it wasn't something really crazy. I've heard this is normal and natural, so it's like, all right. The first thing that Ryan and I did was go into the baby room, open our Bible, and just start declaring things. Things like there will be no miscarriage in your land. Things like I will bless you with many children. And we're just bringing our faith. But still that voice is in my head, in my heart. This is it. Get ready. Again, I'm not saying anything. I'm just focusing through. It was a peaceful thing, but of course, because I'm not understanding what's happening, I'm thinking it's the enemy talking to me. So the next day comes, Valentine's Day, I went to the ER. Bleeding was still happening. It was a little bit harder, not as much. Went to the ER, they said it was fine, came back home. They said, if it gets worse, come in, and the night progresses, and later that night it starts getting a little bit more. So at this point, we're like, all right, if by tomorrow morning this is happening, it gets more, we have to go again to the ER. Next day comes, my parents happen to come in to help me with cooking, and because I'm not just bleeding out, having pains. I'm having just, what I didn't know at the time was cramps. I'm just having pains, and it was just surreal. My parents are here, Antonette, my brother come over. And Ryan was actually going to go straight to work, but God is telling him to come home. And he came home to stop by to go back to church. And as soon as he stops by, my pain started getting a little bit harder. I'm having contractions. Again, I didn't know what this is. Contractions. So I didn't tell anybody. I went to the bathroom, and it's just a lot. It's a lot at this point. And I called Ryan in, and I said, we need to go to the doctors. This is happening. So we told everybody, everybody's here, a prayer over. We head out with my parents. Louis and Antonette stayed in the house, and we go there. And mind you, our faith is high. Throughout the whole ride, I'm having crazy contractions. It's very painful, but I'm trying to remain calm from everybody. So I'm laughing, but inside I'm in pain. It's like, again, I didn't know this was contractions. I'm just thinking, okay, this pain, what is this? We get to the emergency room, and there was a couple things that happened during that time that were just very memorable. One, the doctor that came at the time just to take vitals, her first thing that she says was, it doesn't matter what happens today, just know it's not your fault.
Wow.
And that was very interesting because at this point I'm like, girl, it's gonna be fine. God got this.
Yeah.
This is gonna be fine. We're gonna come out of this. You know, they do all these testing, so they take me to get the ultrasound, and that's when I knew. I had this, I felt life leaving me kind of experience, and we're in the room. They're checking, and it's taking mighty long. It's really long, and in the other room we hear a heartbeat, and the lady says, "That's not your baby. That's the other room." And at that point, I'm sitting there. I'm laying down. Ryan is sitting. And tears are coming down because I'm like, it happened. It just happened. I just know. But I'm not saying anything. He's like, it's fine, you know. So the lady, she did her testing. It took really long. She didn't say anything. So he's like, you know, it's normal. I'm like, Ryan, there was no heartbeat. We should have heard a heartbeat by now. Oh, maybe it's fine. I was like, all right. So we went down. A couple minutes passed. And at this point, my mom is in the room. Ryan is there. And we're laughing. And the nurse comes in, and it was one of those awkward, you know, she's about to tell us bad news, but we're laughing and we're looking at her like, hi. And she says, well, you know, just want to let you know that the process started. So at that point, it was one of those, okay, you know, okay. And she leaves the room and, you know, okay. And we start praying. We're like, you know, it's fine. And I just know it's not fine. And my mom leaves the room because they were about to discharge. And I look at Ryan, and he's like, you know, babe, it just started. It's going to be fine. I looked at him and I said, no, it's done. I feel it. And we called the nurse back in, and we said, when you're saying it's about to happen, just tell me straight. Did it happen or not? I think protocol didn't allow her to tell me, but her face did. You know, her expression in her face was, yes, it happened, but I can't legally tell you right now. So I'm just going to tell you. So we had a moment, you know, Ryan and I just at that point accepted what happened. We accepted it, we hugged, we cried, and, you know, we're exiting now down, and it was that kind of like walk of it was just a long hallway. Just walking to our parents that are outside. And at that point, his parents were walking in, and they're just seeing our faces like, you know, it happened. So the second moment that is like the most memorable part to me, that meant so much to me, we're at this point, we're in the parking lot. And we're huddled up, all six of us, we're huddled up, and encouragement is happening. You know, we're crying, we're emotional, you know, grandparents are crying, parents are crying. And Ryan said the words that would never leave my heart is, you know, we're still mom and dad, our baby's not here with us. And when he said that, this just peace just came over, tears dried up. And it was awkward, right? It was good, but we got in the car, and by the time we got like halfway home, we put happy music. Like, you know, you get in the car and it was like the sad music. All right, we can't do this. Let's put happy music. And it got so light. You know, we're happy, and it's a little awkward. My parents are sat in the back seat, but we're laughing, we're joking, and at this point we get to the house and we're laughing. We're just happy, and just realizing although we lost, there's just this supernatural thing that happened. And you know, the next day Ryan stayed from work, and it was weird because we woke up, and well, you would think we would be crying and mopey. We're just sitting and we're like, and we actually said it. We said, this feels weird. Why are we so happy and we should be sad? And we were sad. We had our moments, you know, tears would run down, and then we'll pick each other up again and say, you know, we're fine. And we decided, one thing that we decided to do to kind of close the deal, because of course this happened, we were 11 weeks when this happened. So we didn't know the gender, we didn't know. So we were asking God, we first actually both individually were like, oh, I want to name the baby, but then we're like, oh, that's probably a little weird, we don't want to do that. And we said it out loud, and he's like, I want to do it. I was like, I want to do it. So we named our baby Gabriel. You know, God is our strength. And that's our baby Gabriel Davis, and that's our baby. You know, and we often say this Father's Day passed, and I acknowledge my husband as a father. And I told him, I asked him a question: how does it feel to be a father of an angel? You know, and it's a strange feeling because you do feel like a parent, although it was a tiny little baby. I didn't get to know the gender, I didn't get to know, but it was just this peace. And the part that it's hard to explain is, I'm believing God for a miracle. I'm the same God that I'm reading that saying you will have no miscarriage. The same God that I'm reading, you'll have many children, is the same God that told me, you're going to lose this baby. And throughout all of this, there was just peace. I didn't go into this blaming God, and I've seen people do that, and not that it's bad. It's just something that God had me experience. It was just a supernatural peace that I still know that God is still the same God, although it sounds like he contradicted himself, but in my heart he didn't. How? I can't explain that. I don't think I ever will be able to explain that, but I just know that he is still the same God. He didn't contradict himself, even though it looks so like it. It's just this supernatural peace that goes beyond understanding. This is what we actually experience, and we still experience. So that's pretty much our story.
Wow. I mean, just listening to it from your perspective, because also being personally involved on the other end, we were at the house waiting. We were waiting for what's the news, and in the same way, I also think the day that we came over, I felt something too. But it's one of those things that when you feel that this is not going to be to completion, but you still feel like you want to hold on to something without saying there is something that's going to be lost. And so hearing it from your perspective on that end, one, brings healing to my own heart, and also two, I think just speaks so powerfully to, one, your faith in God and our Creator and what that looks like, but also two, just faith knowing that even if this doesn't have a happy ending to it, there's still hope. There's still ways to process. There's still ways to believe. There's still ways to grieve, but also rejoice at the same time. And I think for a lot of people, it's not as easy. And it's not saying that it's easier one way or another, but to have something to hold on to again. And from both of your stories, it seems of just having that truth and that connection with God, with the Creator to hold on to. And for those of you who may not know God, that may not have a faith in the master of this universe, wherever you may find yourself, loss hits all of us. It hits all of us in different ways, in different capacities. But I challenge you to think about, where does your faith stand when loss happens? Whether you're personally connected to it or not, how do you deal with that? Because there are moments in our life that cause us to have to really think bigger than ourselves. And where do you find yourself in that? Where do you find yourself when it seems like things are very dark? When you don't know how to get out of that darkness? Or when it seems like you get an answer that you're not wanting to hear, but also having a peace in that same answer is remarkable on both ends. So again, I appreciate you being willing to share that and think about that. Next week on part 2 of Women In. And these big moments come up, like Mother's Day or Father's Day or birthdays of nieces or nephews, or other people's children are around. How does that impact you? How do you continue to move forward, or what do you feel when those moments happen?
At first I started defending, I don't want other moms that actually have given birth to feel offended that I am celebrating and you're not a mom. I envisioned myself that first day that I found that I was pregnant. I envisioned the belly. I envisioned the summer dresses with the belly, and the little kicks, and all the little funny going to the bathroom many times. All those things that probably people are like, those are the parts that I hate, are the things that I actually wanted to experience.
My husband, he never got to meet her, and that's one thing also that kind of hurt my heart as a wife, seeing that he wasn't able to meet his child.
And we did a post a few months ago that we put this story out there on Facebook, and the post was, the reason was, this experience wasn't just for me. This experience was for other people.